How's it going? Okay, so I want to do a basic coil build real quick with you guys because as I've been telling a lot of you, August 8th, stores are no longer going to be able to modify equipment. That means no more building coils. No RDA coils, no rebuildable tank coils. So that's going to leave you guys in kind of a pickle, and I don't want everybody to just get hit with it and just be stuck with nothing to do. So I wanted to mention it to you now and kind of let you get ready with some time where you can still get help at stores before they just totally cannot help you anymore. I know that I can't afford the fines to build a coil, so I wanted to give you a little heads up, let you know that that's going to happen, and then walk you through some basic coil building steps. It's hard at first, and that's it. At first, it's a little hard. Once you get the hang of it, it's really easy. It's impossible to perfect. These guys turn it into artwork. I'm sure if you ever Googled coil porn, there's more kinds of coils and wire than I even care to even list. So we're going to use Kanthal in this video, and that's just my personal favorite. So I've got my wire. I've got cotton. I've got scissors to cut that cotton. I've got wire snips to cut the wire. I also have needle nose pliers and porcelain tweezers. These are non-conductive, so you can heat and crimp at the same time. It's pretty cool. I've got a precision driver. This is a 3mm full metal. These are my personal favorite. And then I've got a screwdriver to actually use in the RDA. You can get all these tools relatively cheap and in a lot of places. Like I said, I prefer the full metal ones. I got mine at Harbor Freight, but they sell them frequently at the Dollar Tree for $1. I use a 3mm. That's pretty regular. There's no perfect size. There's no perfect tool list. If you want to use an Allen key, go ahead. If it vapes all right and you like it, it's good. One of the guys that comes in to the store uses some skewer that they use at the pizza place. I don't know if they put pepperonis on it or receipts, but it works for him, and that's fucking awesome. That's all you need is something that works for you. So I've cut myself off a piece of Kanthal. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be straight or anything like that. Doesn't even have to be the same length. This is what I do. I hold my driver in my left hand, and I'm actually just going to pinch that wire over the top of it with my thumbnail. Sorry, I'm not used to this YouTube, so if it's not focused, you get the idea. So now I'm just going to wrap it around, and I want to keep each one close to the last one without overlapping. And there we go. There's 7 wraps of 24 gauge on a 3mm. Really basic build. It'll vaporize juice, and that's what's important in the end, is it vaporizes juice, and it's going to do that. So I've picked a 3-post RDA. I figured this would be a good start. If you can get the 3-post down, the Velocity styles, the ones with 4 holes, all those, they'll be a lot easier to build on than the 3-post. The good old trusty 3-post is kind of a pain in the ass to build on. So one leg is going to go through the center, and one leg is going to go through the outside, like that. Now what I do when it comes to 3-posts, I'm going to put my coil in about flush with the edge of the deck. I'm going to use my thumb to hold it in place, and I'm going to tighten down just the outside post. Okay. Now, that's in place. It's actually hanging over the deck a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to bend this leg up. So now it's out of the way, and that coil's just hanging out there. So I'm going to repeat that process one more time for the other side. You can run a single coil. It doesn't matter. You can run quads. It doesn't matter. As long as you like it, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Okay. Now wrap this one loose on purpose. See, it's kind of spaced out there. Now watch this. All I did was shove it down, and it helped it out a little bit. But what I want you to know is that's not the most important thing. So same thing, I'm going to put the long leg through the center. And I do that intentionally, and I will show you why. Alright, one through the center, one through the outside. Same thing, just pushing it up flush with the deck. I'm going to tighten down just the outside post. Okay, so now I've got 2 coils, and I bent that one up too. Now I've got 2 coils. They're just in there. They look all crazy. They look pretty trashy. That's okay. So now what I do is I'm actually going to put my driver through that, and I'm going to shove it over to the center like that. I'm going to kind of get it kind of where I want it when it would be finished. I'm going to shove it over to the center, and see, now it's actually kind of stayed there. So I'm going to do that to the other side as well. And now that one's shoved over toward the center as well. And now I'm going to tighten down the center post now that the wire is where I basically want it. It's in the general area. I'm the wire's boss, and so are you. It's an inanimate object. You're its boss. It's pretty easy to bend. You can ruin its day just like that. You're the boss. So don't let the wire intimidate you. Now, I left these long old leads on. I bend a brake. A lot of people are going to go in and use flush cutters or wire clippers, and that's fine as long as the wire sticking out of the post doesn't contact the coil on the other side, because that'll create hot spots, even a short, and if you're running unregulated, that's going to be a big deal. So to be honest, if you don't know how to build coils, I just stay away from unregulated for a little bit. Regulated mods are super cheap and a lot safer to use. I forgot to mention this. If you're wiggling this and you can see how that's moving, the coil, when I'm trying to wiggle that, I'm actually going to tighten that down more, because that's not all the way tight. If these are tightened down enough, it's not going to move. So I just bend a brake. You know, technically speaking, on the outside posts, it'd be fine to clip them because they're nowhere near the other coils, and that's what you want to stay away from. You don't want the tail to come through and contact the other coil. But since those are on the outside, no big deal. Now we've got something that looks like that. I need a better camera, don't I? I wonder if I can zoom it. That didn't help at all, did it? Okay. Anyway, you get the idea. They're pretty spaced out, and you can see air through them. Okay, so now at a low wattage, 57 is fair enough. Needle nose ready. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat these up a little bit. And you can see they just started to glow, and I let off the button. Now I'm actually just going to kind of pinch those closed. So now you see that they're a little closer together. And I'm going to do it again. And I might repeat this process 2 times, 10 times. Sometimes it takes more than once. As long as you've got the same number of reps on the same side, you're going to end up with something that's similar to that. Now you see that one heated up a little bit faster. This is weird, but this is called raking. And all I'm doing is I'm just dragging the screwdriver over those coils. How that helps, something about spreading the oxidation, I don't know. So now I've got them, they're heating up pretty evenly. They're not exactly centered. Now here's the thing, centered isn't the end all. It's not that important. It's not the end all of everything. But I'm going to go ahead and shove that over a little bit more, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Turning the screwdriver while you push it through is going to help get it through without having to really fight the wire. Like I said, you're the wire's boss. So in the end, if you got to take it out and throw it in the trash, then so be it. Maybe the next piece of wire will pay attention and do what it's told. So now I've got them, and the one's a lot faster than the other. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to give them another little pinch. And this is a good practice, is to go and make sure that the post screws are tight again, because once that wire starts heating up and cooling off, it's going to cause it to change shape. So now, let's try again. That one's still faster. So I'm going to try the good old raking. And they've evened up. Okay. Now, that was it. They're not perfectly centered, but they're alright. Since I don't like being on camera, and this first time I built on a 3-post in a while, I'd say they turned out pretty good. And it didn't take me very long. Blowing vape on hot coils will cool them off faster. if you don't have something else to vape on and you're waiting on this, just blow on it. You can even put it in front of the AC or hold it out a car window, whatever. As long as it's not terribly hot when you put the cotton in, you won't have a problem. Obviously, if they're still really hot and you put cotton in, it'll burn the cotton, and it's going to taste like shit immediately. Sorry for the foul mouth. If you're under 18 and you're watching this, turn it off. You're not old enough to vape. So fuck off and tell your parents I said that. Now we're going to do cotton. I use a 3mm. This turns into something that practice will help. For me, I just can kind of gauge and I pinch a piece out. I've got the long stranded cotton bacon, my favorite, cotton balls. Get organic. Get organic cotton. It's kind of a myth. The whole organic thing, don't even get me started on that. But if you're going to buy cheap cotton, at least try to get organic. It's probably going to be better. It's going to have less junk in it at the end of the day. Boiling cotton, a myth. Unless you use perfectly sanitary water and a perfectly sanitary pot, and you boil it, and then you're going to have to dry it out in a perfectly sanitary environment and everything else. It's not, actually, most of the time, especially if you use tap water, boiling cotton is going to make it worse than it was coming out of the bag. So don't fall for the myths. Now, like I said, I got the long strand. I twist the one end up. Just going to poke it through and pull it through. Now, the way that I prefer to do this is I like it kind of snug. As you see, it'll move the mod. The cotton itself will move the mod, but it's not real tight. I'm just pulling it through pretty leisurely. And this boils down to technique. You can wick it looser, and you'll actually get more flavor and more vapor, but you're going to be burning the cotton a lot quicker. The cotton's not going to last as much. You're going to be much more apt to get a hot spot. So there's some downsides to that. More vapor, more flavor. Not worth the negatives for me. You can go really, really thick. You can just pull as much cotton through there as you can. It's going to be harder to burn it, and you're going to be able to vape on it longer without having to re-drip. So that's a positive, but it is going to stifle the flavor and the vapor somewhat. So I just shoot for the middle. That's just me. Now when it comes to clipping, it depends on what RDA you're using, how deep it is, how far away the coils are from the base of the deck. This has a pretty deep juice well. That is not a cup. You're not supposed to fill that up. If you've got a leaking RDA, that's because you had solid juice in there, and that's not good. You don't want just juice in there. The cotton is supposed to hold all the juice. So a deeper juice well means longer cotton tails. That means more juice in the cotton, but you shouldn't have standing juice in the RDA. If that's what you're after, go get an RTA, like a Calypso or the Limitless, or a rebuildable tank, Modfather, BFT, VCMT, Griffin, etc. We can go for days. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Like I said, I can just kind of glance at it and pinch a piece. Actually pinched too much that time. And that's just going to boil down to practice. And like I said, it's preference. There's no perfect way to do it anyway, so if you get it a little wrong, who cares? My best advice would be to keep it even from side to side, and that way they dry up about the same time, and that way you're not constantly juicing just the one side, which can also happen if your coils aren't firing evenly. So it's good to have them firing evenly before you put your cotton in. Now we've got this, so I'm going to use a smaller screwdriver and basically just tuck them. See if I can find a good angle to do this. It's going to be hard for me to do this in front of the camera, but I basically make sure they're fluffy on the ends. It's going to wick better. Now I'm just going to tuck it under. Same thing for the cotton as the wire. You are the cotton's boss. It will do what you want it to. Even if it seems stubborn at first, it will do what you want it to if you're persistent enough. So I'm just going to jam it in there. I try to keep it fluffy on the sides. That'll promote better wicking with fluffy on the edges. And I do that by just coming out. I just kind of just go around and grab the end of it a little bit and just start poking it under there like so. Maybe 2/3 of the way down I start to fold it under, and then I'm going to pull it back under. And that's going to change depending on what kind of cotton you're using, what kind of wicking, how long the tails are, the size of your driver. This all just turns into technique to suit your personal taste. There's no perfect way to do any of this, and if anybody says there is, they're an asshole. So now we've got it, and that was it. Not that bad. Questions? Comment below. Comment below. Haters suck a fat one. And there you go.